Welcome to MPM Kalvikudam. This is Uma Maheshwari, and through this session, I'm going to explain the format of writing notice, agenda, and minutes of a meeting. Conduct of meetings play an important role in an organization, and a knowledge of the format of writing notice, agenda, and minutes gains importance in this context. Notice is a prior information. It notifies the name of the meeting, date, time, and venue of the meeting, and it is prepared before the meeting. And along with the notice, agenda is enclosed. Agenda is a list of points to be discussed in the meeting, and minutes is a record of the points discussed in the meeting, and minutes is prepared after the meeting. Format of notice. To begin with, write the name of the organization in which the meeting is conducted in the center. And below the name of the organization, write notice in all caps. And in the right hand side of the same line, write the date of the notice preparation. And in left hand side, you have to write one short paragraph which contains the name of the meeting, which contains the details of the name of the meeting, date, time, and venue of the meeting. And this short paragraph should be written in future tense. And below that, you have to write a one-liner paragraph, one-liner that states agenda is enclosed. And below it, agenda should be written in all caps. And below that, five or whatever the requirement, depending on the requirement, the agenda points should be written. There is no restriction in the number of writing agenda points, and the agenda points should be written in the form of caption and not in a complete sentence. And with regard to numbering of agenda points, if the meeting is a second meeting, then the number would go like this: 2.1, 2.2. If there is no mention about the whether the meeting is second or third, then you can go for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the number of agenda points is not fixed. It could differ from meeting to meeting. And after writing the agenda points in the form of caption comes the signature and the name of the person who prepared the notice. And below the name is the designation of the person. In most of the cases in organizations, the notice will be prepared by the secretary. After the name of the person who prepared the notice comes the carbon copy and the person who receives the carbon copy. The person who receives the carbon copy would be a person of higher designation than the secretary or the person who prepares the notice. Sample of notice, you could see whatever said in the previous slide is written for your reference. You can go through it and relate to the points given in the previous slide. While writing the agenda points, you could have always the first agenda point as review of the minutes of the previous meeting, and that gives you scope to review whatever done in the earlier meeting. And also as the last agenda point, you could have any other matter where you would be talking about uh, unrelated issues or points discussed in a meeting. For example, renovation of a office could be the first point that come under any other matter, and the second point to be the need to install a new AC in the office. So you can go for two or three points that need not have a connection between each other, and that could be written under the title any other matter. Format of minutes. When you start writing minutes, again you have to repeat the same thing that you have done for the notice writing, that is writing name of the organization in the center and below minutes in all caps, and in the same line right hand side the date. Why we are repeating again is this: in real life situation, notice is prepared before the conduct of meeting and minutes is prepared after the conduct of meeting. So they are two different documents prepared in two different periods of time. While filing it, if that is not properly mentioned, the name of the organization and the name of the document, it might lead to confusion what the document is. So notice should begin with name of the organization in the center. Likewise, again, minutes should also begin with the name of the organization and the name of the document, that is minutes, in the center. And then from left hand side you should have a short paragraph talking about the name of the meeting, date, time and venue, everything written in past tense. And then you have talk about the person who chaired the meeting, and then you have a list of members present, where you would be saying 3 or 4 people who were present in the meeting with the name and designation, and members absent. If there are no absentees to the meeting, then it could be nil. And then each agenda point is elaborated, and after elaboration of agenda points, the closing of the minutes come, where the chairperson would be thanking all the participants, and you have to mention about the time of the closing of the meeting. And after that, it would be signed by a person of higher designation, maybe director or managing director. This is the format of minutes. The worked out sample of the minutes. So as I said in the previous slide, you have the name of the organization in the center, and then the title minutes, and date in the right hand side, a small short paragraph in past tense about the date, time and venue of the meeting, and then who chaired the meeting. And then we have a list of members present, where we have a name and designation, and members absent. With reference to this sample meeting, it is taken as nil. That means everyone is present. It is continued, where you could find each agenda point elaborated. And in any other matter, as I said earlier, unrelated issues or matter could be projected, could be written. Here it is written the proposal of air conditioning, the canteen was approved. The other one completely different from the previous one, proposal for a family tour was approved. And then the last one, it was agreed to appoint 6 housekeepers in dispatch section. And after that, the closing of the minutes, that is, the chairperson would be thanking all the participants, and the meeting ended at 1 p.m. And all these record should be approved by a person of higher designation. That is why we have a person by name Vaidyanathan and managing director, his designation. So this list of verbs could be helpful to you when you elaborate the agenda points. So you could use announced, stated, declared, whichever reporting verb that suits your requirement could be used when you elaborate the agenda points. Thank you and happy learning.